And we're the same way. We know everything about your brand, but you may not need to know all that today, but you sure don't want to be without it, because the people that are without it are throwing darts at a moving board. The backstory on how we created these reports is that we studied the best ads that had ever been run over the last 100 years. And if you look at the ads that literally changed the game for big companies, companies like Marlboro were almost out of business. Apple was nearly bankrupt. Nike was doing poorly. Federal Express was in debt, so they couldn't even make payroll. And a lot of the big brands today owe their success to a pivotal point in their history when the winning ad was figured out.
Martians landed.
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits.
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer.
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit.
Yes, and?
Your branding here.
Yes, brand.
Your message here.
Yes, and?
A verse about
Yes.
your product here.
Yes.
I'm Hersh Redmond.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
Hot seat today at the Yes Brand Podcast is Brian Gregory. Brian is the founder and CEO of Admanity, branding, marketing, advertising, lead gen solutions. They have some amazing software. They have an amazing yes test, which was so funny because when we discovered that we both have yes in our blood, we needed to talk. And I took the yes test, and hopefully Brian will go over it with us, and maybe we can show you guys what it shows. But it's very fascinating and has a really interesting take on branding. So welcome to the show, Brian Gregory.
Thanks, Hersh. This is going to be great.
That's it. You're going to leave me now. Just so you know, we're really turning the screws on Brian this week because he's been very, very busy launching a new product, doing a lot of trainings. You haven't done a podcast this week, but you have been on with people all week long. Tell the guests what's been going on with your company this week.
Sure. We launched a new product, and I'm sure we'll find many ways to sort of plug it as we go through here, but it enables people to use our lead generation services in a very, very, very inexpensive way. And if you've been around social media more than 5 minutes, you've been approached by people trying to sell lead gen. And it's very expensive in a lot of cases, and we're not. And so we're enjoying the honeymoon phase of launching this new product and showing people just how inexpensive it can be to gather leads every single day. And so I've been Zooming, I've been training, I've been teaching, but I have not been podcasting. So if you're listening today, you're literally one of the first people to hear about this, and it should be really, really fun as we get into the what this is and how it works stuff.
Well, I'm excited about it because, lead gen, there are all these terms that have a certain connotation to them. And as a certain part of the industry, it's almost like the word sales. The word sales isn't even a good word. There's even coming up with a new word doesn't solve the problem. Coming up with a new approach is impactful. And I know that for entrepreneurs out there, for small businesses, people that are trying to grow, we like to believe that it's going to all work on a referral basis. It's going to be like you have one happy customer, they're going to tell two happy customers. And before you know, you're going to have a room full of happy customers, but it just doesn't work like that. There's a certain thing that you do and the right people have to find it. But what is it? Now I know what the yes test is, but what do you call the new product? Walk us through it, if you would.
Yeah, the yes test, and we'll tell you guys what it's all about, is a wonderful gift that you can give to another business now because of the lead gen we created. So formerly, you could only take it for yourself, and you'd have your own results, and you could follow the results, and it would tell you exactly why people will say yes to your brand. And if you're in business, there is no more valuable piece of information than why people are going to say yes to you. We want to hear yes all day long, right?
Right.
And so when people take the yes test, they're just stunned and amazed. And in 5 minutes, we can completely analyze any business on the planet Earth. And we can tell you the emotional reasons why people are going to say yes. So fast forward now, people started to say, well, I want to give this to my friend, or I got some friends in business. How do they take this? And so we created a very elite piece of software called Sales Manatee. The company name is AdManatee, and we created Sales Manatee. And exactly what happens is it allows you to give the yes test to anyone you like. It sends them a free link to it by email, and then they can just go ahead and take it absolutely free. But what happens, as we found as we were giving out free tests, people come back super engaged. They love it. They're excited about it. They want to ask questions about it, and they want to thank the person who gave it to them. And so what happens is these people tended to book appointments very quickly with us after we'd given out the free gift. And so we just put all that into the software so that now they can book appointments with you. You give out the test, you make people happy, you help them build their brand. They want to do business with you, and they'll book an appointment, and usually within 7 days. And right now we're averaging about 80% of the people who take the yes test will book an appointment with the person who sent it. So imagine an 80% conversion rate on something that is free, that's actually something people are happy that you gave them. That's the secret we found in lead generation, is to give something first, but it has to be good, right? It can't just be some top 10 list or something you came up with over the weekend. It has to be something that the recipient feels a wow factor for getting, and they want to say thank you. They feel special. They feel singled out, and they feel grateful. That's the kind of lead magnet that you want to give when you're doing lead gen, and that's what this is. And so we've bundled it all together, and it's absolutely fantastic. Works great, by the way.
And you've outdone yourself in the sense that it's not just, like you do a test, you get a result, and that's interesting and insightful, but isn't there there's an entire book, an entire brand book of some kind that is generated by this test?
Yes. The yes test, what it does, for those who are wondering, it's the first emotional algorithm that I know of. And we created this, took about 7 years, by the way, to put this together. So this is not a simple
I was just
task.
a child at that point. I was just a boy.
You were barely able to say yes.
Yeah, right.
And what it does is it analyzes your brand emotionally, since people buy on emotion 100% of the time. So you need to know which emotions they need to feel in order to say yes to you. And the algorithms are extremely accurate, and you answer some true false questions, and very simple stuff. Nothing invasive. We don't even ask what you do for a living. The test is completely blind to whatever business you actually do, which is amazing. But we wanted to make sure people didn't think we were just guessing because we knew you were a dentist or a plumber. So we don't even ask that question. And that's what makes the test so amazing. It gives the right answers and shows you exactly why people will buy from you. And it's absolutely free to take, by the way, folks. There's no charge for this. We give it away free. We'll show you how at the end of the podcast. And it does its job, and it's kind of a mind-blowing. That's the number one term people use when they're saying, wow, they're saying that it was a mind-blowing result. And that's just the initial result. That just gets you started. Because as you mentioned, we're able at the same time to actually create enough information to run your brand for the next 20 years. And we have this documentation that's 150 pages. As soon as you take the test, we know what to say to you. We know the strategies. We know your tactics. We know your formulas. We know the emotions. We know the words, the phrases, the metaphors you can use. We know which photos you should select. We know the colors of your brand. We know how to win back lost customers. We know how you should be upselling. All of that is figured out in 5 minutes. And so if you're looking for a quick way to get your brand onto the launch pad to where you need to go to scale up and all that good stuff, and you don't want to hire $1 million agency, you should take the yes test. It's a mind blower. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And the thing that one of the things I find very interesting and in line with my thinking is that I believe when people give you advice, when they give you insight, when they give you feedback, you often know whether it's good feedback and insight instinctively. In other words, you wouldn't have thought of it yourself, but when you hear it, you know it. You know it when you see it. Like people say the customer's always right. I don't agree. If the customer was always right, they wouldn't need us. They wouldn't need us for anything. But the customer knows right when they see it. So when they get a book like this and they get all this information, it's not like they're following a guideline blindly for the rest of their career or the rest of their life of their business. It's going to make sense to them. Just as when I looked at the results of the test, it made sense to me. It's just I wouldn't have put it all together, and all the effort and time and research and R&D that went into this, pays off. So let's say that I am the gifter of the test, right? I gift it to someone. What do they do what's the next thing that happens, and how does it benefit me, and how does it benefit you?
Well, the first thing that will happen is the recipient will get an email that says that the giftor, the person who sent the test, has just sent this to you. It's a gift, and chances are you've already told the person you're going to send it to them. So they're looking forward to it. And click here to start your test. And so it's just a simple email. They click, and the test will give them a couple quick instructions, and off they go. So and 5 minutes later, they're holding a brand brief in their on their screen. At least they're looking right at it. It's about 5 pages of, like you mentioned, it makes sense what it's saying to you. It makes intuitive sense as well as cognitive sense. And some things are reinforcing what you already may have known. Other things are going to blow your mind because you would have never guessed it. And so it's showing you the emotional reasons why people would select you. And as soon as the person is finished taking the test, you as the sender get a notification. Software automates everything. So you know that they've taken it, and you know what result they got. And it actually shows you some insight into their brand. So the next time you meet with them, you can actually be very, very knowledgeable about their company. So for coaches and agencies and people in the business consulting world, this is invaluable. You'll literally understand their brand sometimes better than they do. And it gives you instant authority when you speak with your prospective client. And they thank you for the gift. They're impressed by your knowledge of their brand. People buy when they feel they're understood, don't they? They don't buy when they feel sold. They buy when they feel the other people get them. And so that's all this does. It's a great way to say hello. And from there, you can segue into your own presentation of whatever it is that you actually sell. We're just opening the door, impressing the client, increasing your authority, and getting an appointment for you 80% of the time. If we do that for less than $3 a day, I think we've earned our keep.
Yeah, well said. And then if you were, it's one of those things where and this is not the first time I'm hearing it. This is like our second conversation about this thing. But I think that it's one of those concepts that, it's a winner because it's so obvious. It's such an obviously useful thing to do that everybody should do. The first thing is that you're going to have to do some market research. You're going to have to research the client. You're going to have to, and the idea that you can do this with this source that isn't even like impressing them in a meeting. You're not using it as a secret weapon. That's what I love about it. You're not using it as a secret weapon. You're actually gifting them with it. Yeah. Why would they say no, or why wouldn't they want it? And then why wouldn't they want to talk to you further and at least give you the courtesy of hearing whatever it is that whatever your thoughts are, and you're starting from kind of a same page. Well, here's what I liked. Here's what I thought was, oh, this might have been off the mark. They might say this is actually we're going this direction, but it's started a conversation, and it's created a baseline for a relationship. And then there's the full book. obviously, if I'm going after a high ticket client and I want to make the investment in not just getting them the test, but actually, providing them this book, how does that work?
Well, some people will just be grateful for the test and they'll move
Sure.
in, they'll just move on with life, and that's fine. And we give it away free for that purpose. Our goal, by the way, is to give away 1 million of these tests and to elevate the knowledge of small business, because they're never taught this stuff. Colleges don't teach it. Advertising agencies are aware of it and proficient with it, but there's a cost, of course, to access that. So we want to be the option for the other 99% of the small businesses that can't afford such things. And if they want to take it one step further, we'll show you what's in your big report. We'll show you, it's 150 pages of you. It's all
Yeah.
about your brand, your marketing, your positioning, and everything, the words, the phrasing, everything. And it's a lot. Quite honestly, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it'll run your business forever. I use the analogy, nobody wants to read the owner's manual in their car, but you'd be mad if you bought a car and they didn't give it to you because you want
Yeah.
that information, right?
You want it when you want it, when you need it.
Yes. And we're the same way. We know everything about your brand, but you may not need to know all that today, but you sure don't want to be without it, because the people that are without it are throwing darts at a moving board. The backstory on how we created these reports is that we studied the best ads that had ever been run over the last 100 years. And if you look at the ads that literally changed the game for big companies, companies like Marlboro were almost out of business. Apple was nearly bankrupt. Nike was doing poorly. Federal Express was in debt, so they couldn't even make payroll. And a lot of the big brands today owe their success to a pivotal point in their history when the winning ad was figured out. Somehow they came up with this ad, and products didn't change, but the dollars sure did. And we studied those. So we only studied the winners, and we knew after a while that there were patterns. There was recurring emotions, recurring patterns. And that's what built our algorithms, is when you see all the winners in a pile, pretty soon it's pretty obvious what's making the winners win. But if you look at all the ads, you get confused. So we only studied the winners, and it worked out. And so those winning strategies found their way, and some of them will be in your report, because you can do it too. Small businesses think they can't do what the big guys are doing, and it's nothing more wrong than that line of thinking. You have the same, you can use emotions, they're free. You can use colors, they're free. You can use words, they're pretty much free. You don't have to spend the money the big guys are doing, but you can trigger the exact same emotions. And that's what the big report shows you how to do. ABC done. How to trigger the emotions that we recommend for your brand, which have worked like gangbusters for many of the world's largest brands. And they work over and over and over again. And the analogy I always use is like, why do you think all game shows seem to sound alike? Why do you think all sitcoms are similar? Why do you think every James Bond movie is exactly like the last James Bond? Because it works. It's a formula. Advertising is no different. Advertising is repetitive formulas shown with great frequency, such that it changes the behavior of the people watching it. And we're showing you exactly how to do it.
Now, let's say as a research tool, does this work where someone says, okay, I have a big meeting coming up. I already have a meeting set with them. Can I run this diagnostic on them? They have to answer the questions, right? They have to.
It does. They don't have to. You could take someone's test for them and have the results sent to you. So for example, if you were an agency,
Right.
Or you're, like you say, you're preparing for the big meeting, the questions are simple enough that you don't have to know deep, dark secrets about the brand, right? You could take a test for your local Dairy Queen tomorrow. You know what it is. It's ice cream. It's fun. It's not that hard. And so you could take the test, have the results sent to yourself, and then prep for your own meeting. Sure, you can do that.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking, I mean, the applications and everything seem really deep. And what does it represent for Admanity, for your agency, for your company? How does it change what you're doing?
Well, we're a lot of people think that we're in the game of, after you take the test, we want to be your agency, and which is a logical way to think.
Yeah.
But we actually aren't. We are in the business of analysis and strategy. We want to help you figure out your game, but we don't want to become the agency of record for your company. We'll refer you out to an agency we like and trust before we will try to take the job on ourselves. We just don't have the time. Thousands of people taking the yes test. If 1% of them said, please, I want to hire you to do my stuff for me, we would be buried alive. We'd be the world's busiest agency. And we just don't want to go there, at least not yet. So we're here to help, in most cases for free. There's an upsell charge for the bigger reports if you want to go down that road. And there's a very small monthly charge for the lead gen software if you want to try that out. It's not much of a commitment at all. It's instant. It works instantly as soon as it's installed. I don't know if we mentioned the emails that we send. One of the problems with lead gen that I found is that after you contact people, they don't really seem to stay in touch. It's pretty much a shooting, it's like we're driving by, we're
Right.
just we're trying to get somebody real quick. If we don't get them, see you later. And in our program, as everybody knows who's in sales of any kind, the money is in the nurture.
Right. Yes,
right?
for sure.
And it's hard. It's hard to nurture. I mean, it's work. You got to write them emails, another email. You never know if this is the one. And so we built the nurture in our campaign for the lead gen. After the person takes a test, listen to this. We send out 100 emails over the year, 2 a week. So it's not a lot, but it's 2 a week. Each email teaches them something about marketing or branding, something they need to know. It's good information. But here's the crazy thing we found. We got a 55% open rate across 10 countries, across 100 emails over a year. In other words, they're opening these emails with amazing frequency, and only 1% were unsubscribing, which kind of tells you they liked it.
Right.
The good thing is when you send a test, your name is on every email. Your company name is on every email. Your contact information, your booking calendar link is on those emails. So 55% of the time they're getting seen. Most people would never write 100 emails, and they certainly wouldn't get 55%. So this is a gold mine, not only for the people who jump in your game right away, but for the majority who will not jump into your game on day one, but who need a little more time. So it's really cool.
People need a lot of time. I mean, if we think about going through our inboxes and what we delete and unsubscribe and just leave there because we want to read it, we just don't have the time. So we don't want to remove it. Maybe we start, maybe we leave it unopened, but it's there. And the likelihood of our going back to it is greater almost every day. Like we're going to eventually get to one of those emails, and it doesn't matter to us, right? So an email came, 2 emails came Monday. I didn't open them up. Wednesday, or is it how often? What's the frequency that you're doing?
They go out about every 2 to 3 days. So
2 to 3 days.
It's paced, so you only get 2 a week.
Yeah, 2 a week. And then and then you scroll back, or you get the next one and you open it because you've been kind of nurturing the relationship with that subscriber in just a very unobtrusive way. And they'll glance at the value and see the value topically, but they just don't have the time. I think that's what we're dealing with. Is we're not dealing with the old days of trying to get the meeting, trying to get the one thing, the 5 minutes in the room. We're trying to, over time, get the comfort level going, get the trust going, so that eventually the person will, at the right moment, open something up, and that door will now be open, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's very true. We see it all the time where certain emails get opened a little more because maybe we wrote a better a subject line on that one. But then they'll back and go and they'll say, "Oh, that was pretty good. Maybe I should have opened some of those others." And they'll start reading the series, and realize, hey, there's some good nuggets in here that I don't normally get to see this kind. Then every one of our emails is original, and it is not copied off the internet type of warmed over stuff. This is really interesting marketing stuff that you would not normally read about. And I think that's why the engagement rate is so high. So we just give it to our customers. We built it for ourselves, and then saw the numbers and said, "Oh my God, this is crazy. We got to share this with our customers, because why should we hog all the opens and all the open rates? Because we're getting 80% to book appointments anyway, and
Right.
so will any customer. So it's really for that last 20% that are a little more stubborn, let's say."
Right. That's great. So tell me a little history, Brian. What's, we got so caught up in this new product and the salesmanity concept, but take me back a little bit to what was going on before that, how you got started in this business.
Yeah, this is a crazy, I call it marketing voodoo, because what we do, a lot of people years ago would have said could not be done. You can't do an algorithm to figure out human emotion. That's just like oil and water, that just probably doesn't happen. And in fact, AI to this day has I think the greatest struggle with it is emotional, which when you start entering emotions,
Yeah.
because machines just can't know that. But anyway, 20 years ago, I started a magazine, and I learned very quickly that if you want to survive, you must sell ads. And I got very good at selling the ads. I could close that deal, but I couldn't keep them in the magazine. And the reason is because the average small business, when you say, "I need your ad and we're going to go to press," they hustle something together. Usually the graphic designer gets a frenzied phone call from the owner. "I need an ad." And that's
Yeah.
what you get, right? And you get this thing. They call it an ad. It's not an ad. They don't understand the psychology of what an ad truly does. It is not a book report on your company. It is an emotional trigger. And it is, if you try to educate people into buying your product, you are not going to sell much of anything. And that's the ads I would get. So I kept getting these educational ads. Then about 2 months later, they'd call me up and say, "Take me out of the magazine. It's not working. Your magazine is no good."
Yeah.
And I got tired of hearing my magazine was no good when it was really, it was the ad that wasn't any good. And I thought, when I get out of this business, I'm going to do something to help the little guys in this, on Main Street, USA, who have no idea what an ad really is. And that's where this algorithm started to get into my head. And I thought, maybe could we make them take a quick test that they'd enjoy, and it would open their eyes to the real world of what they should be saying. And that was a fantasy, because there was nothing like that existed. There's no proof it could be done, right? It was just a nightmare for me for the next few years trying to figure this out. Luckily, we did, and it got better and better and better until it was finally ready to be released. But it took years. And so that's the evolution. I got tired of seeing small businesses all stepping on the exact same landmine every single time, and they couldn't do better because no one had ever shown them how. How would they know? They wouldn't know. They were just and they were getting frustrated. They were saying, "I hate advertising." If you're out there and you're a small business and you hate advertising, I guarantee it's because you're no good at it. Get good at it. Figure it out. We'll show you how. And then you can go do it. It's so easy when you understand the primal human emotions, which is all we deal in, the primals. Everyone knows what happiness is. Everyone knows what temptation is. Everyone knows what trust is. Everyone knows what curiosity is. And we deal in those. That's the currency we deal in. We'll teach you the simplest language of mankind, the very first language of mankind, which was emotions. It wasn't words. Words came along a million years later. It was the first. It was just ugh. It was emotions. And that's what we all have, and we all share. And that's why advertising can work. We're all made of the same snow. And that's very important. That's what got me started.
That's great. I mean, and you're right that so many people don't understand advertising. So many people, and myself included, at many times, would be like, why am I engaging in this? The return is specious. It's like, it's very elusive. I don't want, this happens a lot too. I don't want to have to pay to have people see who I am or learn about me. I want to, I want to have people pull my information. I don't want to push it on them. How do you, so for the yes test as an example, how are you getting it out to people so that the people who can take advantage of it, start to circulate it, use it, gift it, use it as a tool, use it as a lure to get people's attention? How are you getting it out there?
Well, you'll see some ads on social media. We're going to do some of the compulsory moves. Join the crowd on that type of thing. But what we're really hoping for is that the lead generation software, which gives out the test. So we want to help you build your business. At the same time, every time you send out a yes test, you're helping us build ours, right? And you're making people aware that this thing now exists, that they didn't hear about it before. You're the one, you become our ambassador, and you bring them this awesome, cool thing. And that's why they're going to like you for it. And in turn, we get some recognition too, and they'll get the emails from us. And, eventually if they want to do business with us, they will. So that's our main plan, is to help you build your business. And we can get thousands of people sending out millions of tests. Imagine how many people we can help, indirectly or directly. It's going to be awesome to see small businesses with the same knowledge, the same power as the $1 million agencies would. If you could hire the big agencies, they would do a phenomenal job with you. It's just the cost keeping you away.
Right.
But they do great with any business on Main Street. Would be blessed to have a great agency helping them out. But if you can't afford that, there's us, and yes is something you don't hear enough in your business. I'll bet anything on that. We all want to hear that more. In fact, maybe this is a good time to bring this up, because your show is the Yes brand and the Yes Tester are here together for the first time. And I just want to introduce, if you wonder how this, because a lot of small businesses don't get why an ad works and why an ad doesn't work. I'd like to maybe just comment on that.
Yeah.
Imagine you have two brains. You have a yes brain and a no brain. Okay. Your no brain is your thinking brain. Like, we're using the no brain right now. It's our cognitive, conscious, logical mind. That's how we engage and learn and do. And the conscious mind, the no brain, finds an argument in most things. Its job is to protect you. So if you put an ad full of facts, your no brain steps in and says, aha, I can dispute that. I don't know about that. I think you're going to have to prove that one. And I know that's not true. And that's not true for me, blah, 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 blah. And your yes brain is over on the other side of the fence. Its job is to feel. Okay. It's the emotional side of you. And it feels like buying. It has the credit card. This is the brain you want to be talking to. This is the brain that says, okay, let's do it. I'll take the red Ferrari. Okay. That's the brain you want to be talking to. The yes mind, the intuitive mind, not logical. It's irrational. It is emotional, and it wants to buy so badly. If the conscious brain would just get out of my way, I'd buy everything. And so when you structure ads the right way, they speak to the subconscious yes brain, the one that will buy. The only part of your brain, by the way, that can buy. The conscious mind hasn't bought anything yet. The no brain always says no, or I'll think about it, or one of those. Right. So the yes brain is different, and that's the one you want to be talking to. And so when we structure ads, we're showing you how to structure them emotionally so that the reader or the listener or the viewer, whatever it is, says, "Ooh, that's exactly what I want. Why, I'll take it." If you give people what they want, they buy every time. Okay, so it's the structure that has to change. We know you sell a good product, but if you had to be the best product to win, you'd never win. The biggest brands in the world are not all the best products. Is McDonald's the best hamburger? Is Pizza Hut the best pizza? Is Jack Daniel's the finest whiskey ever made? We could debate it, but probably not. But they market it better because they're speaking to the yes brain always in their marketing. They never deviate from that. And that's the biggest difference between a big brand and a little guy, is the big brand knows the emotions that they're selling into, and the little guy's still trying to sell on facts. And it's frustrating for them.
And because the taste buds reside somewhere in the middle, whether your allegiance to Jack Daniels is based on its taste, or whether it's because your yes brain has told you that this is the whiskey for you. This is the thing, Jack and Coke, Jack and Diet, whatever it is. Oh, I drink this. Your brain is assigned that value. You may not know. And we've seen the taste tests and the various things, and with a test that they do with wines, where they'll tell someone this is an extremely expensive wine, and they'll describe it, and they'll taste it and have an opinion, and they'll tell them this is a crappy wine and this is a $9 thing, and then won't like it, but they're actually switched. And their whole perception is based on so many things other than taste. And that's a great metaphor for everything else.
You're right. Perception is everything. And it's one of our slogans is advertising is 99% perception. So as you see it, so it is. If you see it as crappy, it's crappy. If you see it as the best thing in the world, it is the best thing in the world. And so the perception that you have to put out there is a little bit leading. You must establish the perception you want. They're more likely to believe that than not, because they want to. You're likely to live up to your perception, however it is. So be careful out there. Perception is everything.
And all the more reason to take the yes test and to give the yes test, because that's kind of that's as blind a test as you're going to get with the most accuracy, is to do this test and look at it and say, is this me? Is this them? Is this you? And have this kind of level playing field, which is just awesome. So I like to give my guests a last word or a last chance to speak to the audience. You're talking to an audience of largely of entrepreneurs. They could be kind of multipreneurs like me, where they like to do a lot of different things, and they like to learn, and they like to become experts in different topics. What little piece of advice or suggestion would you put out there to people who are building businesses?
Well, first of all, kudos to you, the builders of the world. Without the small business, there wouldn't be much worth engaging with. I believe it's 99% of all the business transactions in this country. So, and you guys are taking the blows. You're in the foxholes, and half the time, no one's showing you how to do this. And so you're that kind of person. And so you're going to stick it out. You're probably going to go the distance. You're going to get some cuts and bruises. But one of the things I would like to say is the marketing side of this world is filled with opinions and some facts. And if you listen to everybody, you've been better off listening to nobody. What I would invite you to think is this: instead of trying to chase tech, which will always be going 300 miles ahead of you, that's tech's job, to be in front, to always need you to catch up to it. If you're going to chase tech, you're going to have a frustrating marketing life. Perhaps the better thing to study, if you have an extra hour or two, is to study the emotions of mankind, which have not changed in thousands of years. You have the same emotional toolbox as Caesar, Mozart, and Shakespeare. They just mastered it a little better. But trust me, the emotions they have, the same things you have, and if you use them properly, it will catapult you much faster, higher, and farther than any amount of tech, any amount of targeting, any amount of data can do. Because you will understand how to sell anything to anyone, anywhere, at almost any price, because you understand why humans buy. They buy on emotion. They use their yes brains, always and forever. So think of your next marketing lesson in that classroom versus what we end up doing most of the time is, watching tutorials on how to make this tech work. Learn from the masters who created the most successful ads in the world. And they did it amazingly simply and very quickly. In most cases, these ads came together very quickly, and they sold billions of dollars of products, sometimes for 50 straight years or more, because humans didn't change during that time. So please look into some of the gospels that we're preaching. We'll show it to you for free. I don't know how it could be any easier for you. 5 minutes of your life, absolutely free. Get you started. And if you like it, we'll tell you more. That's an honest proposition.
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, then
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on
Yes.
before they're gone.
Yeah. Huh?